Now the fun part. Good afternoon. Welcome to Living Well with Dr. Bell. I am Jo Pauling Jones, Associate State Director for Advocacy and Outreach with AARP South Carolina. I am pleased to bring to you Dr. Thaddeus John Bell, family practice physician and founder of Closing the Gap in Healthcare in North Charleston, South Carolina. Good afternoon, Dr. Bell.
Good afternoon, Jo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I'm doing well. And as the title of our program today, spring is definitely in the air. And I'm already feeling it.
I know. Me too. My allergies are acting up and the pollen is very thick here already.
Right.
And Dr. Bell, as you know, but I'll share with our viewers that AARP South Carolina spent 2 years conducting research on health disparities among older African Americans here in South Carolina so that we can understand the impact of health disparities on the 50-plus population. And as a result, we've learned a lot, and we're trying to address it with sharing good information here on these Lunch and Learns. I want to remind our viewers that you are available and you answer the questions that they put into our chat box. So as we're having our conversation today, if you have questions, please put those in chat and Dr. Bell will respond to those questions. I want to remind our viewers that one of the things that we found from our research is that inadequate sleep is definitely a risk behavior as we are aging. So Dr. Bell, can you talk to us about the importance of adequate sleep and those things that we need to be aware of as we age and how sleep impacts all of the chronic diseases?
Well, the topic is very appropriate because I think we are in the second week of daylight saving time. And if most folk are like me, I miss that extra hour of sleep. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I think our audience should know is that there has been a plethora of information related to sleep and how sleep impacts our overall health. One of the things I want to mention, we may not get a chance to talk about it, but for those of us who are trying to lose weight and trying to maintain weight, believe it or not, adequate sleep plays a very important role in making that happen. We can discuss that at another time in more detail. But we now know that not having enough sleep can certainly lead to dementia and can certainly lead to mental health changes as people get older. It is now thought that most of us in the 50 and above age group need somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Now, I know that that's hard for a lot of older people to get because there are a lot of reasons why we may not be able to get that amount of sleep. One main reason is this, the cell phone and the computer that we like to look at nighttime trying to put ourselves to sleep. And it has been reported that the light from the cell phones and the computer can certainly interfere with our REM sleep. That's the deep sleep that we experience. So, and I'm guilty of this too, because I read a lot. I read my cell phone and my computer a lot when I'm in bed. But so I'm guilty of not adhering to sometimes to my own advice. But I want to make you aware that the light that coming from your computer and from your cell phone plays a significant issue in your inability to sleep. Another problem that I see quite frequently when people come in complaining of insomnia or not being able to sleep is the medications that people will oftentimes take. Cold medications, sometimes pain medications that you take to make pain go away will also interfere with sleep. But the other thing that I want to make you aware of is that oftentimes medical problems that may be emerging at nighttime can cause you not to be able to sleep. For an example, in men, oftentimes prostate issues where you have to get up and go to the bathroom because you can't hold your urine. That certainly interferes with sleep. Uncontrolled diabetes will also interfere with your sleep. And some blood pressure medicine will interfere with your sleep as well. So I would encourage people to, if you have a sleep issue, particularly as you're getting older, discuss that with the doctor. One of the things that I don't think is very well appreciated is stress and anxiety will cause people not to be able to sleep a lot.
I am so glad you said that, Dr. Bell, because I just had a conversation with a dear friend yesterday, and she was explaining that we lost one of my line sisters on Sunday, and we're grieving, and she was talking to me about not being able to sleep, and so we just had this conversation yesterday about the importance of sleep. I wish you would have been on the phone so you could talk to her.
Well, that's a very, very common problem. And another problem that we're hearing a lot about, and that's sleep apnea. Sleep apnea. I was just reading an interesting article the other day about Shaquille O'Neal, who admitted to a reporter that he was experiencing significant sleep apnea to the point where it was interfering with his daily activity. He went in to see his physician, and they told him that he was at risk of dying in his sleep if he did not get his sleep apnea taken care of. So he admitted that he is now on a sleep machine, on a CPAP machine to help him sleep better, and has also said that he is sleeping, has much more energy. What we found out regarding sleep apnea is that not only does it cause your blood pressure to be uncontrolled, but it can also cause significant heart disease, and can cause you to feel very, very tired during the daytime. By the way, sleep apnea can be described as frequent interruptions of breathing. Your sleep partner will probably recognize it. It usually happens when you're snoring. So if you in fact are having an issue of waking up tired, you may want to ask your partner, are they aware that you snore, or that there are periods of time in which there are long pauses between the time that you take a breath during the time that you're sleeping. That's an indication that you should go and have a sleep apnea specialist. Usually that's a pulmonary doctor. They will do a history and make an assessment and actually send you to the sleep lab where they will observe you sleeping. And after one night, they can make a diagnosis of sleep apnea. So we are finding out that sleep apnea is a major cause of people not being able to sleep well.
Okay.
One final thing regarding this. If you sleep, as we get older, we have a tendency to sleep a lot during the daytime.
Uh-huh.
And if you sleep a lot during the daytime, that can interfere with your ability to want to sleep at night. It is healthy, however, to have a power nap, a 20-minute, a 30-minute power nap. I take those frequently during the day, and it makes me feel so rejuvenated. So these are things that we are beginning to find out about sleep, and I would encourage our audience to ask the doctor about some of the things that we have discussed, and to make sure that those things have been checked out.
Dr. Bell, I know we're closing out this segment, but I understand that conditions like heart disease or kidney disease or heart failure, kidney disease may cause issues with sleeping as well. Can you just clarify for us, is that true? Is that something, what should we do if we may think that that's causing our inability to have adequate sleep?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. I guess the best way to explain it is for those people who have congestive heart failure, that means that there's a buildup of fluid, particularly in the body, in the legs. And so as a result, this fluid has to be released, and it causes you to go to the bathroom at night. I mentioned prostate. I should have said something about heart disease, as well as kidney failure. So the nighttime, as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about Ray Charles. Had a song called "The Nighttime Is the Right Time to Be with the One You Love." Well, the nighttime is the right time also to suggest that if you're not sleeping right, something may be going on health-wise. Hypertension oftentimes can first be recognized as a result of a person going to the bathroom a lot during the nighttime. So that's how those medical conditions can manifest themselves, particularly at night.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Bell. This is always great information. This is information that we are trying to address in a very proactive way. So thank you for openly sharing your expertise with us as we try to tackle some of these health disparities and the behaviors, the chronic behaviors that come with them.
By the way, I want to mention that sleep issues are taken care of by your insurance.
Okay.
Sleep issues are taken care of by insurance. And it is one of the emerging health issues that I don't think is being talked about enough, particularly with our listening audience.
Excellent. That's great information, because that's usually one of the first questions that people will ask when they want to go in to have a condition or maybe it's something that they just feel like they need to get checked out, is will it be covered by the insurance? So thank you for sharing that with us. I want to remind our viewers that Dr. Bell will answer your questions. If you will put those into chat, he will respond and we'll get those responses out to you as quickly as possible. Again, we are talking about spring is in the air. And with that, we've got several topics that we want to touch on today. Our next topic, Dr. Bell, is eating healthy on a budget. So can you talk to us about what's required for older 50 plus individuals to eat healthy and yet remain on a budget?
Well, it's a misnomer somewhat that eating healthy is expensive.
Right.
I would imagine that it is challenging, particularly for older Americans who live in food deserts, where there's not a lot of healthy food. By food deserts, I mean grocery stores that don't have a lot of produce, and produce is an essential part of a healthy diet.
Right.
One of the things I like to encourage people to do is to try to eat more fruits and vegetables, frozen fruits and vegetables. The way they do it now are good and may not be as expensive as fresh fruits and vegetables. But if you can get them frozen, the way that it's processed now, it's my understanding that the process that they use is a very good one. So eating frozen fruits and vegetables. I would also encourage people to look up Google DASH diet, DASH, and Mediterranean diet. Now, these are food plans that make recommendations to you as to the kinds of fruits and vegetables and nuts and foods of that kind. Meats, particularly chicken, more fish, less red meat. Those are very healthy foods for us to try to consume. It's been proven significantly that a decrease in red meats certainly is very, very healthy, and eating more fish is much better for you. So I would encourage you to do that. One of the things that I would remind people as well, it may be worthwhile for you asking your doctor to refer you to a dietitian to get some insight as to what you need to be, what kind of healthy foods that you can eat. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you shouldn't be eating. Going to fast food restaurants, while it very well may be convenient and the food is very cheap, but it is not healthy. And data shows that if you can eat at home, you're probably going to get a more healthier food than you can if you eat at fast food restaurants. So I always at every opportunity, particularly with diabetics, I saw a lady yesterday who came in to see me. She was pre-diabetic. She recognized that she had picked up some weight, and she wanted to see a nutritionist. So I recommended that she see a registered dietitian. All right. She may have to pay a few dollars because the last I checked, insurance does not pay for the assessment of pre-diabetes and diet, but it will pay for diabetics. And by the way, I recommend that all diabetics see a registered dietitian to make sure that you're eating correctly. So that's what I would have to say. I'm as I get older, I'm struggling with my weight, and so I'm eating more fruits and vegetables. We have a lot of information that's coming out about these various diets. The diet that a lot of people are talking about right now is the one in which you, I'm blocking on the name of it, but you don't eat for an extended period of time.
Like the fasting diet.
The fasting diet. So they allow you to eat almost anything that you want to, but there are certain periods of time
like intermittent fasting, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. So the data is still out on that. I'm by no means a dietary expert, and so I always refer my patient to a registered dietitian,
Mm-hmm.
To talk about that. So that would be my information, my recommendation to you, as it relates to diets. I can tell you this though. A lot of people want to, think that a vegetarian diet is the say all be all. That is not the case. That has not proven to be the case. Now, if you want to become a vegetarian, that's fine. But when you look at the medical data, the evidence, just going completely vegetarian does not necessarily mean that that's a healthy diet for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to make sure that you get good information from people who are professionals who can give you good information.
Mm-hmm. Great information, Dr. Bell. Thank you. And I do want to mention to our viewers that in line with our health disparities research, we do know that there are food insecurities that exist, particularly in the rural areas here in South Carolina. And based off of the feedback that we received in our phase 2 health disparities report, we know that there's a need for education and training in regards to a healthy diet. And so that's one of the reasons that we're sharing information with you on this Lunch and Learn today. But in addition, be on the lookout because I'm working on a series of healthy cooking classes that we'll be able to offer to our members and volunteers and the general public here in South Carolina, where you will be able to learn some healthy cooking tips that you can use and incorporate into your cooking that will benefit you from a health standpoint. So be on the lookout for those cooking classes.
One other tip, we always talk about diet, and it suggests that it's what you eat, but what you drink can also be contributory to an unhealthy dietary behavior. So if you drink a soda, with every meal, or you drink sweet lemonade, which is one of my favorites, and I always have to remind myself to cut the lemonade with water. But if you drink sweet tea all the time, then you can mess up your diet just by doing that. So I just want to encourage people to try to drink more water. A lot of studies suggest that before you sit down and eat a full meal, if you drink a glass of water, you are not as likely to eat as much during the time that it's time for you to have a meal. So I do try to do that. I try to drink some water and to see whether or not that's going to cut my appetite. In many times it has.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Bell. That's good information. So as we look at being healthy and tackling these risk behaviors, Dr. Bell has shared some great information with us today about eating healthier. Now, we're going to touch on a subject that he is very passionate about, and that is exercising. Because you can't, if you go to your doctor and you're sharing information with your doctor and you're drinking what you're supposed to and you're eating what you're supposed to, there's another component to it, and that is exercising. And Dr. Bell has some tips for us in regards to incorporating exercise into your daily routine, even if it's in short amounts. So Dr. Bell, would you share with us those tips today?
Yes, I'm going to tell you a story. I saw a patient yesterday. She is 69, and she told me a very interesting story. And I said, wow, she's absolutely right. She said that she was traveling across country, and she realized how bad a shape she was in when she got in the airport, because she had to walk from one place to the next. When you get in these airports now, if you're going to be traveling, if you go to the Atlanta airport, you're going to have to walk from one venue to the next. And oftentimes you're going to have to move quickly or you're going to miss your flight.
That's right.
And she said that she recognized that she was in such bad shape because trying to get from one venue to the next, climbing stairs, getting on the train, getting to the next station. And I said, she's absolutely right. Mm-hmm. So that was her motivation to start walking on a regular basis so that she would be able to continue doing the kinds of things that she likes to do as she is approaching her 7th year birthday. And so oftentimes we need to have motivations like that. I personally have found that I seem to do better just in general when I'm doing some type of exercise. If I go a couple of days of not riding my stationary bike or walking, as the old people used to say, I feel all stoved up. You remember, folks? You remember your parents saying that? Well, now that I'm at the age of my parents, I feel all stoved up. Mm-hmm. New information even shows that those of us who do at least 30 minutes of resistance training, we've always talked about cardiovascular training, which is the cornerstone of being in good physical shape. The mm-hmm. new data is showing that doing resistance training, which is weightlifting, not heavy weights, just if you can just do some total body weightlifting exercises once a week, that improves your longevity of life, and that also improves your quality of life mm-hmm. going forward. So it's just something that that's new information. It's just something that you really should consider. Just going to the gym and walking all the time is not enough. But if you can pump some iron, as the young people like to say, lift mm-hmm. some weight, do some exercise, you're going to find that you can continue doing the activities of daily living that you have been accustomed to while you were young. Those things are not as likely to go away. And one final thing, I wrote a thing on Facebook and I was telling people, you should have noticed that the President Biden, is now using the handrail as he goes up and down the stairs on Air Force One. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea. I think that's something that older people should consider doing, because as we get older, our limbs sometimes give away without giving us any warning. And if mm-hmm. that does happen, at least if you have your hands on the rail, you are more likely to be able to help yourself, because having a fall as you get older can cause major disability and can cause death. I just recently lost a friend who fell as she was walking down the sidewalk, fell and sustained a brain injury, which eventually took her life. So all of these things as it relates to exercise and fitness, that's just good medicine. So I just want the bottom line is that exercise is medicine.
Exercise is medicine.
And that's the way we should look at it.
Thank you. That is excellent information. Well, Dr. Bell, to wrap up today's segment, we have one more question that I want to ask you, or I at least want you to share this information. We've touched on it in the past, but if you would, let's close out today's conversation with a question around what do we need to know about the connection between high blood pressure and erectile dysfunction? And that was the last question for today.
Exercise improves erectile dysfunction. One of the things that I want folks to know is that hypertension meds can cause erectile dysfunction. You're absolutely right about that. But uncontrolled blood pressure in itself can cause erectile dysfunction. So if you are still sexually active and you have not been keeping your blood pressure under control, that's something that you want to talk with your doctor. Now, we always talk about erectile dysfunction in men.
Right.
I have had some ladies come in and say that they have noticed a change in their libido as a result of certain blood pressure medications. So if you have noticed that, that's something that should not be overlooked. That's something that you should tell your doctor about and have a talk with him and have a consideration of changing the medication if that is the case for you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Bell. And see, that's good information because I think oftentimes these are subjects that people don't want to talk about. But it goes back to conversations we've had in the past where you've shared with us, if you've got that relationship with your physician, then you can ask those questions of that person and feel comfortable doing so. And so I think knowledge is power. We're sharing education and information with our viewers. And I thank you for doing that so transparently in these segments because we want to make sure that South Carolinians are healthy and able to live their best lives. That's what we want. And so thank you. This brings us to a close of today's segment. And I tell you, it always goes by so quickly, but you share excellent information. And I thank you for doing that. Anything you want to say as we close things out?
I want to remind people to get the vaccine and get the booster. The data is now showing that a lot of people have gotten the vaccine and they have said, heck with the booster. And you don't want to do that because we know that these antibody levels drop off very quickly, and having at least the first booster is very, very important. A lot of the new information that's coming out is suggesting that we may not need to take a second booster, at least not right yet, but I would tell you stay tuned. And the final thing I want to let you know is that the pandemic is not over, so I recommend that you continue practicing social distancing, wear your mask when it is appropriate, particularly if you're around a lot of people and you don't know what their vaccine status is and you're in close places. You want to wear your mask. All right. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. An excellent session. So thank you again. To our viewers, I want to remind you that if you have a question and you put it into the chat, we will respond to those questions. I also want to say, be safe, stay healthy, and we will see you again the first Friday in May at 12 o'clock. Thank you and take care.
Take care.